Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are set to start the program, and I want to thank you very much for finding time to be here with us. So we'll start quickly with an opening prayer. We'll ask Engineer Benson Daniel to give us an opening. I said I was going to say a closing prayer. To give us an opening prayer. Thank you very much. Engineer Benson was a past vice president of this institution, so let's welcome him.
Shall we please stand and have a short prayer? Shall we?
Please.
Father, in the name of Jesus, our national anthem for Ghana states, God bless our homeland, Ghana. Father, we need your blessings in this election year. We need your direction, especially with the wave of the youth, who are about 70% of the population below 40 years. Father, for this function too, we commit it into your own hands. Just as you've been doing for us all the years, direct, both in person and online, and let everything be successful to the glory of your holy name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Engineer Benson. Before we continue with our program, let's just observe a few protocols. Okay, to our washrooms. If you turn yourself as if you are going out, the left door, exit door, you exit, immediate turn on your left, immediate turn on your left. We have a kind of a corridor just behind this wall. We have all our washrooms there. And then also, in case the unexpected happening, or it's going to happen, nothing is going to happen anyway, but in case it should happen, we have 4 exit doors. You see them clearly marked, exit, 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 exit. We just go through those doors, descend down, we meet around the car park area as our assembly point. Okay, basically these are 2 basic safety briefings that will give us. In case you want any other information, let us know. Thank you very much. And I want to acknowledge a few people here. We'll start with our past president. We have our past president here, Engineer Kwame, Andrew Kwame, okay. We also have our executive director, Engineer David Kwetia Nyante. And I have my senior brother and also a past president of the institution, Engineer Leslie Aye. Yes. I'll skip this young man. I'll come to him later on. And then with this our senior, I know that Mr. Sampoku, Engineer Sampoku, he's not an engineer, but he used to be with the Chamber of Mines. Okay, yes, I remember very because I remember the daughter. Yes, and we have also Engineer Dombre here. He was also a past vice president of the institution with a different look now. It tells me that he's gone on pension. And then with all of you that have not mentioned your name, please, you are welcome, including our friends online. Okay, thank you very much. And then we'll ask past president Aye to just give us a small welcome before we continue with the program. Thank you.
Good evening to you all. We know the world is not waiting for us, and everything, it's like you want instant coffee. Everything is on a fast pace, and we want to catch up with the rest of the world. But the thing is, what does it take to get us over there? And so we're all ears. And I see you're here and the people online. And we're going to talk about things of this nature, things that will get us there. And so on behalf of the council, the president, would like to welcome you all to this meeting. And I believe that we would as we say in church, will not leave here the same, but we'll leave here with a kind of hope that we need to be, and enthusiasm that will be generated so that we'll be able to move our country on a fast pace. So once again, we'd like to welcome you all to this meeting, and I hope we'll have a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer. I want to introduce the chairman for this occasion. Our chairman for this occasion is Engineer Asare-Yeboah. Engineer Asare-Yeboah is a fellow of this institution and a past president was a president with this institution from 1996 to 1997. He graduated from KNUST in 1969. I'm sure about 50% of us in this room were not born. And he has his master's degree in structural engineering from the University of Cincinnati. I hope I pronounced it well, Cincinnati, right? In 1975 in the US. He has been practicing civil engineering for the past 50 years or so. And within this interval, attended several professional development courses. He started his career with the associate consultant in 1969 and rose through the rank to become director stroke senior partner and then the chief executive officer in 2005. He also worked with few companies in the US. He's a past president of the Ghana Consulting Engineers Association and then FIDIC Africa, respectively. He has mentored several engineers and currently serves on the governing council of Central University and Koforidua Technical University. He's currently also the board chairman of Associated Consultants. Please, let's welcome our chairman for this occasion and the past president of the institution, Engineer Asare-Yeboah. Maybe just one or two comments, then we can just move on.
Well, this is a crowd, but I know a lot of them are online. But I'm happy and privileged to have been nominated by Charles and Executive Director and also the President of the institution to come and chair this very important lecture, which is to be presented by Charles. I've known Charles for a long time while he was in ABP Consult and also with the World Bank. And we've met in so many areas and so many lectures. I'm pleased to be here. So without saying much, I will just say, I accept to be the chair. I allow Charles, because it's a book that he's going to present to us. So I'll allow him to speak, and after that, you hear my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. Would zoom straight to introduce our presenter. Ladies and gentlemen, our presenter is Engineer Charles Boakye. Engineer Charles Boakye is a civil engineer from KNUST, I'm sure in 1989, right, Charles? Yes. It's my senior, but I've tried to track you to know when you finish school. And then he has masters in economic policy management from the University of Ghana. He's a professional engineer and also a fellow of this institution. He started his practice as a civil engineer with ABP Consult Limited, and he has worked on several projects, including being a team leader for the NDPC, that's National Development Planning Commission, infrastructure plan for, and they work on the infrastructure plan for Ghana. Also, he was a project director of the Ghana Industrial Development Master Plan, a team member with Hatch that prepared a master plan for the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, and also a team leader for the Ghana Iron and Steel Industry Master Plan, project manager and team leader of the Ghana Greater Kumasi Industrial City Project. He worked with the World Bank as a senior municipal engineer and did undertake projects in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Gambia, amongst others. He did contribute to the establishing of home financing company, now the Republic Bank, the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Tema Export Processing Zone, and a few more others. Currently, Charles is the Chief Executive Officer of Infrastructure Systems Limited. Charles, we want to welcome you on stage to tell us what we want to hear from you. Thank you very much.
The slides are one of them. I want to read. No. To project it. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I want to start my lecture by thanking the Ghana Institution of Engineering, and especially President Engineer Kwabena Bimpong and Executive Director Engineer David Nyante for inviting me to give this address. I hope that this address will help the country in charting a new path as we transition from the current difficult economic situation we find ourselves in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share a story of an engineer who was working on a rural electrification project. He was installing solar panels in a remote village that had never experienced electricity. The entire community was excited, and he felt like a hero, bringing light to their lives. On the day the lights would be switched on, there was a ground celebration. The village chief, an elderly man who had never seen an electric bulb in his life, was given the honor of flipping the touch or switch. And as the lights came on, he exclaimed in awe, "The sun has come to visit us at night." Okay. Everyone laughed and cheered, but later that night, they noticed something odd. The chief had left the lights on in his hut and was sitting outside in the dark. When they asked him why, he said, "I can't sleep with the sun in my room." This encounter teaches us an important lesson about change and adaptation. While we are bringing progress, we also need to help our people to these changes. As we aim to transform Ghana into a prosperous nation, we must remember that progress is not just about implementing new technologies or ideas, but also about guiding Ghanaians through these changes, helping them understand and embrace the new ways. We don't have to leave anyone out of the loop in our quest for progress. Mr. Chairman, in January 2023, I wrote an article that shed light on the potential dangers of Ghana's domestic debt exchange program under the country's 17th IMF program, and offered alternative approaches to consider in addressing the economic challenges we face. The article garnered some attention and discussions on various platforms. As a result, I was invited to join a number of civil society platforms, all with the hope of contributing ideas to support the development of our nation. At the beginning of the year, that's this year, a number of my friends on the platforms and also those in this fraternity asked me to make a public presentation of what I wrote, hence this speech. I see this address as a call to national duty to highlight the challenges we face to develop our country into a rich and prosperous nation. Mr. Chairman, this is the 5th time I'm making this presentation to this esteemed assembly. The first time was right here in this auditorium in 2009 as a technical paper during the engineering week. And the most recent was 2 years ago, delivering the keynote speech at La Palm, also during the engineering week. Each presentation has had a different focus, but the underlying message has consistently been the need for a country to rethink and transform the path we have taken for our development. Today's presentation is especially significant as it offers us a unique opportunity to navigate and overcome the current challenges. This evening's address is not just about envisioning our nation's bright future. It is also about charting the course that will make that vision a reality. It is a call to action, a call to unite in pursuit of a shared dream, a Ghana that is not just developed, but flourishing with wealth and prosperity for all its citizens. Long-term National Development Plan. The address is largely focused on Ghana's long-term National Development Plan, which was prepared by the NDPC in 2017. It was started in 2015 when President John Mahama charged the NDPC with the important task of crafting a comprehensive long-term plan to chart the course of Ghana's development. The need for the long-term development plan was based on 1922 Constitution and the aspirations of Ghanaians as expressed during nationwide consultations organized by the Commission between 2015 and 2016. The plan envisaged that by 2057, when Ghana celebrates its 100th independence anniversary, the country's economy will be ranked among high-income countries. That's the one. 2 is the country must have export-oriented, must be export-oriented, industrialized, and diversified and resilient. 3, driven by Ghanaian entrepreneurship. 4, characterized by high-value services. 5, dynamic with a globally competitive manufacturing sector. And 6, have an efficient agricultural sector capable of feeding the nation and exporting to global markets. It was during this period of preparing the long-term plan in August 2015 that the NDPC extended an invitation to me to lead a team responsible for preparing the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, which was a critical component of the long-term National Development Plan. I had a privilege of meeting with the late Professor Kwame Boakye, who was the chairman of the NDPC at the time, and also Dr. Nimoy Thompson, the then Director General. Professor Kwame Boakye was also Ghana's former Minister of Finance. In the meeting that marked the inception of the project, the scope of the plan was discussed, and I presented an overview of the assignment's expectations to the Commission. I assembled a team of approximately 25 consultants and 30 other experts from various government agencies to develop the 30-year Ghana Infrastructure Plan. And experts from a number of government ministries, departments, and agencies, including the Energy Commission, Ghana Atomic Energy, Ghana Railway Development Authority, the road agencies, etc., participated in the assignment. We reviewed numerous studies and reports on critical areas such as the Railway Master Plan, the National Special Development Framework, benchmarking development indicators against high-income countries. This collective effort led to the completion and presentation of the report to President Akufo-Addo in 2017 by Professor Kwame Boakye. And you can see the presentation on the screen. Subsequently, when a new set of NDPC commissioners were appointed by the president, the report was updated. It's important to note that the 30-year plan was not intended to remain static, but rather a dynamic blueprint, continuously evolving and adapting, guiding the nation's growth trajectory. Upon successfully completing the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, our team was further entrusted with the responsibility of formulating the Ghana Industrial Development Master Plan, together with a comprehensive finance and resource mobilization strategy. This decision was strategic, recognizing the manufacturing and industrial sectors served as the primary beneficiaries of infrastructure projects. Today, as I address you, I draw upon the rich insights and data from the outcome of these two studies, the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, the Ghana Industrial Master Plan. These documents form the bedrock upon which I will base my presentations, offering a perspective on the path to Ghana's sustainable development. So the Ghana Infrastructure Plan. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan aimed to chart a new vision and strategic direction for Ghana's development, integrating and coordinating efforts to achieve high-income country status within 30 years. The World Bank defines a high-income country as one with a per capita gross domestic product of 13,846 or more. The NDPC developed GDP growth projections using preliminary economic models prepared by Oxford Economists of the UK. By the time the assignment was completed, our projections indicated that Ghana would achieve a gross domestic product of about 1.7 trillion and per capita GDP of $27 within the 30-year framework. The population growth rate projections are given below. So we actually base it on population. We've updated it a bit because since then we've had a census, so you can see the recent census 2021, the growth rate came down to 2.1. Anyway, Ghana's projected population is outlined below, shifting the 30-year planning horizon from 2024 to 2055, because really, honestly, we haven't actually started implementation yet. So we're always shifting the dates. So I've decided to shift the dates to 2024 to 2055 because it's a 30-year cycle. It reveals that Ghana's population is projected to increase from 34 million by the end of 2024 to 63 million by 2055, nearly doubling over the period. So you can see the slides there. The development of human settlements, spatial planning, and the housing sectors were served as the cornerstone of Ghana's infrastructure growth, providing a pivotal role in shaping the nation's physical, social, and economic landscape. Effective spatial planning ensures the strategic coordination of land use, transportation networks, infrastructure and utilities, optimizing efficiency, accessibility, and sustainability. The housing sector addresses the fundamental human need for shelter while driving economic activity through construction, real estate, investment, and urban development. Spatial planning and housing sectors lay the foundation for vibrant and resilient communities, fostering industrial growth, social cohesion, and sustainable development. The wartime British Prime Minister, Sir Winston Churchill, touched on the importance of thoughtful planning in the built environment when he said, "We shape our environment, thereafter they shape us." The quality of our built environment, the efficiency of our urban sectors, and the accessibility of affordable housing are not mere indicators of progress. They are the catalysts that will propel us towards unparalleled success and prosperity. The National Special Development Framework, which was completed in 2016, was supposed to be followed by regional special plans, district special plans, and then structural plans in the order seen below. An example of this structural plan is the Greater Kumasi Industrial City Master Plan, which has recently been completed. It was implemented by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade and funded by the World Bank. This industrial city is a brainchild of the former Minister of Finance, Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Lancha Martin. Such industrial plans are to be carried out in all districts in Ghana. Preparing these structural plans throughout the country by built industry professionals and with support of the land use and special planning authorities expected to enhance the delivery of over 8 million houses by 2055. So basically, yes, so this is actually taking place right here in Ghana, but it's the first of its kind, but it's expected that a number of them were supposed to be done. And anyway, I'm involved in that as well. But generally, we have a lot of housing challenges. And I just gave a snapshot of some of the state of the housing sector that we have. That's the first one, Jamestown. Then the next one is Azim, the one on the side. These are all except these ones. Those of us living in the hinterland, you see our structures like this. More than 50% of our houses are in this state. Yes, more than 50%. Yes, more than 50%. It's not surprising that only less than 20% of our houses have toilets and 20% have running water. Because you can't put those things in structures like this. Anyway, so we worked on them and we built up the data. We got the breakdown because we said that, look, we have to, yes, we have some houses in the country, but they are not really houses because they don't have all the facilities. So we said, okay, fine. They have to gradually be phased out because there were the slums, and there are a lot of slums in this country. So we took a shot of it. We got a regional distribution, and then the district resumed in Eastern region. And then Eastern region, we got the districts and the breakdown. It's quite an extensive work, but it was fine. So, so that was the housing. And some of the other activities in the Ghana Infrastructure Plan included expansion of Ghana's road network 3 times, from 80,000 kilometers to 250,000 kilometers. This expansion will include a significant increase in the length of paved roads, up from 16,000 kilometers to at least 200,000 kilometers over the planned period, thereby elevating our paved road coverage from 23% to 80%. And by the way, the GHA, also the road agencies, the fact that we have 80,000 or more doesn't mean that that's the length of roads in the country. They have what we call maintainable network. So the 80 is actually the maintainable network. So most of the time, the non-maintainable network is even more. And so if we are expanding to 253, basically it's largely a matter of probably improving the part of the non-maintainable network. The number of vehicles are expected to increase from 2.1 million in 2018 to 12 million by 2057, signifying a cap in the vehicle population ratio at about 250 vehicles per 1,000 persons, well below the high income average of 600 vehicles per 1,000 persons. Mass transport is expected to be All regional capitals are expected to be connected by dual carriageways and multi-carriageways to reduce head-on collision on our roads. On maritime transport, one of the major priorities of the maritime industry is the development of a shipyard and dry dock facilities, so as to allow for the building and refurbishment of ships in Ghana. Railway. The railway development program is expected to be executed in accordance with the revised railway master plan and suburban programs. This includes the development of suburban railway networks in major cities and the construction of both northeast and transversal rail lines, including the Trans-ECOWAS railway routes at a total length of almost 9,000 linear kilometers over a 30-year period. As part of this program, construction of about 160 stations, together with hundreds of office and residential structures, are expected to be done. So this is the Accra network that we worked on. Then we have the Kumasi one, then Takoradi, and it's not difficult to find. I think move on. Yeah. So we try to do a bit of go in there, because the whole cost as at that time was 27 billion, but it's even more than that with a revised one. Then we try to go in there, and we realized that, in fact, half of it, okay, we picked 27 billion. Half of it is based on the track infrastructure. That's the line, the line track infrastructure, building, electricity access roads, and about 8.3 rolling stock. Then signals about 0.4 billion, telecom about 0.9, design and supervision also 1.1, training contingencies. So we drill down into this half, and realize that they have, so basically made of electricity, concrete, structures, covers, terminal stations, steel rails, earthworks fields, and these are all things that can be done. You can see the steel concrete is basically quarry materials and cement and some iron rods, ballast. We have a lot of them. Then we even further narrow down into the earthworks. That's the 2.2. And the earthworks 2.2 here, basically clearing, subgrade, that's laterite, earthworks, also a bit of laterite, ballasting, main ballast, top ballast. There are all things around us. You see, there are things around us. We try to break them down, because most of the time we want to do railway, and the first thing people look at is, where is the foreign currency? But these are all the things around us: quarry materials, laterites, concrete, the things that we don't have, we can manufacture, and you see that very soon. So, yeah, so this is a typical track cross section. So the rails are here, the sleepers can be steel, it can be timber, it can be concrete. Then we have the ballast. The track infrastructure forms a large portion of the cost, and they are largely things that are always around us. Yeah, but these are quarry materials that can be used for sub-ballast. Of course, they have to be tested. And this is the double track railway line. We went also into the terminals, and we did quite extensive work to estimate the amount of terminals and all those things that have to be done. And this is the breakdown: Accra, Kumasi, the metro terminal, substation 120, minor station 110. Then the rolling stock as well. So locomotive 600, coaches 1,000, passenger carriageway 600, and all that. You see, when you do it this way, it gives the opportunity to get people to come and manufacture them, rather than always picking one line at a time. So let's do Western Corridor. It's not attractive. You see, but when you take the whole package together, then then even though you face them over a period of time, but it becomes attractive for investors. So like South Korea did, they told France that, okay, fine. So do the first set of this in France, then come and set up a factory in Korea to manufacture the rest. And that should be the approach that we must adopt, rather than picking one line, Eastern Corridor line, then you put two rails there. Railway is such that it's about efficiency and it's about productivity. If railway is leaving at 159, it must leave at 159. If there's no locomotive, they must quickly change and put a new locomotive there. So it's very difficult to run railway with 2 or 3 locomotives or coaches. You must have a factory and park some of them there. And I don't know of any country that is running this efficient railway line that doesn't have a factory producing the rolling stock, at least key aspect of the rolling stock. So yeah, these are nice terminals that we thought that as a country, we can also profit from that. We got somebody to just do some Photoshop on this for us. Yeah, okay. So this is just the railway. And we went into the energy aspects as well. On energy, still on the Ghana infrastructure plan. The aviation sector is also expected to receive improvements. To ensure efficient intermodal transportation, the railroad, aviation, and port systems are expected to be integrated. Moreover, the plan also aimed to establish transport logistic terminals along corridors to connectivity across. Then energy. The vision of the energy sector was to provide a defendable and robust national energy infrastructure that stimulates economic growth, reduces poverty, and enhance overall welfare of our citizens. The goal was to increase our total, and this has changed anyway. We've used 2024 figures now because we just shifting the target from total electric power capacity from 5,000 megawatts by now to about 44,000 by the year 2050. This monumental leap is expected to be accompanied by a surge in energy generation, with Ghana's electricity generation per capita anticipated to increase from about 500 kilowatt hours to 5,800 kilowatt hours by 2050. These long-term measures are meant to build Ghanaian capacity and systematically reduce the price of electricity. The energy mix is expected to be diversified by scaling up renewable energy sources and exploring the potential of nuclear power. The target is to increase Ghana's installed solar capacity from the current 150 megawatts to 9,000 megawatts over the planned period. And if we put rooftop solar panels on 10% of this, of the houses to be constructed, we will achieve the 9,000. Just 10% of the houses, solar panels of size 70 square meters, 10 meters by 7 meters, we will be able to achieve 9,000 megawatts of installed solar. And I use 10% because at that time we're supposed to have dense and compact settlements, so it was supposed to be high-rise structures. A 4-unit, 4,800 megawatt nuclear power plant is expected to be developed over the planned period, serving as prime base load electric power to scale up industrialization and manufacturing. Although the capital cost of nuclear power is relatively high, the low cost of nuclear fuel and the relatively long lifetime make nuclear power economically competitive than thermal power plants in the long run. Nuclear power systems are also insensitive to fuel price volatility. It is a relatively clean source of power, emitting no greenhouse gases and gaseous pollutants at the plant operating level. It is also a major contributor to climate change mitigation. Despite the several challenges of nuclear power systems, nuclear safety and issues of management of radioactive waste have shaped public perception and concerns about nuclear power plants operations, which have been allayed by the Nuclear Power Ghana. The Nuclear Power Ghana was established in 2018 as the owner-operator of Ghana's first proposed nuclear power plant. The Nuclear Power Ghana is owned by the Ministry of Energy, VRA, Bui Power Authority, and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. In the petroleum sector, especially with the untapped potential of the Voltane Basin offshore oil reserves, the exploration and development of these resources is expected to be led by a Ghanaian private sector. Efforts were made to revamp our transmission and distribution system with a concerted aim to reduce transmission and distribution losses from 30% to less than 8% over the next 3 decades. So that's the sketch. You know, earlier on, the energy regulators thought the losses were 50%, and they $25. In fact, it has shot up recently, the last one. Then that means that a third of every electricity produced is unaccounted for. Unaccounted for means that we are actually paying for it, but we are not using it. And that is very worrying indeed. So, and there are measures in there. These are, like I said, these are all recommendations in various reports that we brought them into one report. So Energy Commission had beautiful recommendations that we brought them in, and that was the purpose of the plan. So as we chart our course towards a sustainable energy future, we confront the sobering reality of our sobering reality of our finite indigenous gas reserve, which could be depleted within 2 decades if more gas reserves are not discovered. Efforts were made to develop compressed natural gas to support the transport sector, especially in the railway operations. To fortify our transportation supply chain, plans were also put in place to bolster our infrastructure, especially across the country. Transforming Ghana's water resources. Ghana's long-term development trajectory is also centered around harnessing the potential of water resources to drive sustainable growth, enhance a livelihood, and ensure water security for citizens. Through strategic planning, investment, and collaboration, a resilient water sector is expected to be created to support Ghana's journey towards becoming a high-income country. The country's population, anticipated to double in the planned period, will significantly strain water resources in terms of quantity and quality. This growth will escalate water demand, straining water availability unless accompanied by new water conservation and management practices. With the population doubling and improvement in individual well-being, the overall energy per capita water requirements expected to increase from about 75 liters per person to about 300 liters. The plan requires investing in modern and resilient water infrastructure, including dams, reservoirs, water treatment plants, pipeline distribution networks, and wastewater management systems to enhance water supply reliability and quality. Concerted effort was required or is required towards implementing water conservative measures, promoting water-efficient technologies and practices, and raising awareness about the importance of responsible water use among individuals, industries, and agricultural sectors. It is important that we put in place good environmental and watershed management practices on a scale not seen before. The unregulated activities of illegal mining, also known as galamsey, primarily responsible for the apparent deterioration in the quality of water bodies, such as the Tano, Brim, Ofin, and Ankobra rivers, should end. Sustained efforts and investments are planned to reduce non-revenue water losses from an urban average of 50% to less than 15% by 2040. Yes, so water as well, especially in urban areas, half of all water produced is also unaccounted for. They just vanish. Some get leaked out, and also illegal connection, etc., etc. Then the digital, empowering Ghana's digital sector is also one of the sectors we addressed. And Ghana's long-term development is contingent on leveraging information and technology to propel our nation towards becoming a high-income country, innovative and prosperous country. Through strategic investments and partnership, a thriving technology ecosystem is envisioned and encompasses telecommunication, fintech, data management, e-commerce, digital education, and beyond. Embracing digital transformation across all sectors will unlock new avenues for economic growth, job creation, and enhance public services. The key pillars include ensuring universal access to high-speed broadband, keeping the with nurturing startups, tech hubs, and innovation centers, strengthening our cybersecurity infrastructure, accelerating the growth of fintech solutions, data, promoting digital payments, and financial initiatives and convenience financial services. Ghana will also aim at developing smart city initiatives, artificial intelligence, and big data analytics to enhance urban planning, transportation, energy efficiency, and overall quality of life. It is envisioned that by the end of the plan period, each regional capital would have been developed into a to modernize the economy and improve the efficiency of public services. The above are just a brief outline of the recommendations of the GIP. We now shift focus on the Ghana Industrial Development Master Plan, which focuses on the entire economy. There's a mineral, the beneficiation, then 2, agro-food processing, then 3, petrochemical processing, and 4, manufacturing and services. These sectors are expected to generate majority of over 4 million jobs planned in the 5 years, and significant effort is required to ensure their development. For each sector and commodity, the scope has been defined, the background, as well as key challenges and the action plan necessary to maximize output and benefits for the country has been outlined. Moreover, the supply chain and value chain industries, location, the projected medium to long-term demand, and research information needed for the sectors were identified. So basically, we drove down all the food, the cocoa. Obviously, I've highlighted the cocoa and steel because I will drill down into it a little bit. But generally, yeah, all these sectors were described. and were analyzed in the plan. Of course, not all into detail, but these are all big industries that can in itself can be expanded to several industries. But in the now just to plus a third one, and that is nuclear power in this category. That's a special category. and then illegal mining activities, aging farmers also account for some of the challenges, and then as well as the small farms. By optimizing land use and achieving yields of 1,200 kilograms per capita or per hectare over a 10-year period. And by the way, these measures cannot, you can't do this within a year or two. You have to plan it over a period. Land use period, the cocoa output in Ghana will almost triple. The ultimate objective is to increase Ghana's annual cocoa output to 2 million tons in 10 years. At a price of $7,000 per ton, this would translate into an estimated revenue of 14 billion and yielding more than 50 billion from value chain and supply chain industries on the land. That means that you don't need to increase the size of land. So this is the current situation, and in 10 years' time, this is the target. So basically, for 14 billion, then so basically, 14 billion. The actual bean will be 14 billion, but then the value addition and then the addition of the supply chain will take it to 50 billion. Under the Ghana Industrial Development Master Plan, Cocoa Bowl's productivity enhancement program was considered as a key element in the transformation agenda. Rather than being solely Cocoa Bowl's initiative, this program has been integrated into Ghana's broader development agenda. Yes, so you see this beautiful high yield, and you very soon realize that they were actually based on pollination. Pollination helped, and of course, the use of hybrid seeds resulted in such high yield. Cocoa Bowl needs to be supported to implement measures such as providing high quality seeds, efficient pollination techniques, proper fertilizer application, mass pruning and spraying, effective shade management, and improved fermentation and drying processes to produce premium quality cocoa beans and maintain the premium status of Ghana's cocoa. Good fermentation and proper drying of the beans play crucial roles in the production of high quality chocolate, and proper drying helps to unlock the desirable flavor and aroma developed during fermentation, extending shelf life without compromising quality. So this drying, and I'm yet to see this kind of greenhouse drying in Ghana. And we always put it on the mat, and then when it's raining, we go and roll the mat. But when we do this greenhouse, and it doesn't cost much, and it helps to improve the quality. And when the quality is high, buyers pay premium on that. No, Ghana's cocoa has had a premium. I don't know whether we still have it. Moreover, with strategic development of the cocoa value chain activities, Ghana can realize an aggregated annual turnover exceeding 50 billion. About 30 value chain businesses are projected to achieve turnover exceeding $100 million annually within a decade, with a few of them surpassing $1 billion. This business include haulage and transportation, semi-processing to butter, powder, and final processing to chocolate, all together contributing more than 200,000 jobs. Yeah, because Cocoa Bowl pays $500 to move a ton of cocoa from the hinterland to the port. So if you are producing 2 million tons, that is the haulage alone is $1 billion. Of course. So this is the cocoa value chain matrix that we presented. And every aspect of it is important. Every aspect of it is important. I think there was, yeah. You realize that, oh, from here all the way down here, up to here, and even here, this line, they are all local input. And I mean, all this difficult work, local input, that form just about 10%, 10, 12%. We do all this work and get 10%. Then somebody just does this here, processing ingredients, all that, and then get the remaining 90%. So we don't have too much time to go into it, but every aspect of this is important, even including the byproducts, which are used for animal feed, biofuel, fertilizer, mulching, pectin production, mushroom cultivation, beverage, sweetens, bioactive, bricks and board, every aspect of it. But because we don't process them here, we lose all that, and others profit from this. It becomes just another raw materials from other industries. So the lesson is that we must try and process our cocoa beans. Additionally, several initiatives need to be put in place to increase cocoa production, cocoa consumption in Ghana, which currently stands at half a kilo per capita. That's, yeah, significantly lower than 8 kilos average for high-income countries like Australia, UK, etc., etc. That means that an average Australian consumes 16 times more cocoa beverages than an average Ghanaian. This stark contrast is worrying, given the significant world benefits of cocoa products. Indeed, research indicates that cocoa boosts intelligence quotient and has nearly twice the anti-cancer, antioxidants, antioxidants of red wine, and up to 3 times those found in green tea. Cocoa beverage consumption represents a hallmark of affluence for the middle class. As Ghana transitions to high-income country status, focus should not only be placed on the production of premium cocoa beans, but we must also pamper ourselves in the delightful array of chocolate, Milo, and other cocoa beverages that come with it. Yeah, okay. So we've done cocoa. Let's go to, I said I would talk about 3 things: cocoa, steel, and nuclear power. So let's go to steel. Steel plays a crucial role in the industrialization and development of every country, serving as a fundamental material in various sectors. As Ghana embarks on this industrialization journey, the importance of steel cannot be overemphasized. Steel is a key component in the construction sector, essential for building infrastructure such as bridges, roads, buildings, and other structures critical for economic growth. Additionally, steel is vital in manufacturing of machinery, equipment, and vehicles, supporting industrial sectors and driving innovation and productivity. Steel is important because almost every manufacturing product around us is either made from steel or relies on steel in its production process. So you can see the car, average car. This is a chart for average car. Almost more than half is made of steel. I mean, the car each one of us sat in to drive here, more than half is made of steel. And then about almost 10% aluminum, then plastic, then fuel, then rubber, then glass, then copper, etc., etc. Steel per capita is an indicator of economic growth of a country. And we use this to we use this to chart. This Ghana is here. So you see that countries that use more steel, they are richer. You can see the size of the circles signifies the economy. So countries, so the more you use steel, the richer you become per capita. And this is the average wealth steel use. That's 227 kilos per person. And we are just here, basically about 40 kilos And so in the plan that we did, and we did a steel master plan for GISDEC. We plan to have this chart. I mean, it can be done, and the details, we'll see that shortly. Steel is made from iron ore. The vast deposit of iron ore in Ghana offers a unique opportunity for the country to add value to the mineral and stimulate economic growth. If an integrated iron and steel industry is developed, Ghana can achieve self-sufficiency in steel production, reduce import dependency, create jobs in mining, processing, and manufacturing of steel products, and stimulate an industrial revolution. And by the way, I said that everything we have here is either made of steel or steel was used to make it. Even the wood that we have here, the chainsaw and then the hacksaw, they were all, the hammer, the chair that you are sitting on, they're all made of steel, at least the legs. So you see the importance of steel. That is why steel use is an indicator of economic growth. According to the Steel Master Plan prepared for the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, which was established by an Act of Parliament in 2020, the initial this growth trajectory will have a transformative impact on the economy with at least but this, I mean, this is it. It's huge in there. I have a few summary in there since we don't have too much time to discuss it. For example, with a targeted 5 million tons of steel from the steel plants in 8 years, a million tons of steel is expected to be supplied to each of the following 5 sectors. That's in the coil, the billets, the bloom, the foundry, and alloy. At $2,000 per ton, each of these sectors will yield estimated turnovers ranging from 2 billion to 3 billion. And by the way, we took the 2 potential iron ore deposits. The Opalman series there, we thought that we could have just 500,000 tons running constant for 30 years. But the Shani reserve will start with an initial 1 million, then to be gradually be added on over an 8-year period. And 5 million can be done. Some countries have 50 million tons of steel production. Of course, the question is we have to start. So we said that if we have 5 million, then we assign each sector into the first million. It's already 2 to 3 billion already. So 5 million is a potential 10 to 15 billion industry. Moreover, annual steel production of 5 million tons will lead to several contracts, including sourcing key materials such as limestone, steel scrap, natural gas, coal every year, each surpassing $1 billion per year. The utilization of waste products or byproducts, particularly the estimated 10 million tons of slag produced annually in the blast furnace, valued at over $1 billion, offers profitable prospects in road construction, cement, concrete manufacturing, soil stabilization, and fertilizer production, amounting to over $1 billion in annual value. So we have them all. Okay, it's gone. Okay, so there should be more than 20 businesses achieving annual turnover at $1 billion and several other businesses worth millions of dollars of turnover by year 8, translating into more than 150,000 jobs. With abundant iron ore deposits to support this level of steel output for the next 100 years, And by the way, we have a lot of iron ore. The share is over 1.27 billion. Recently, the deposit discovered the OT deposits that currently they are doing the investigations. Ghana is ready for rapid economic transformation and industrial growth. So let's look at the vertical integration process. What we saw was the horizontal. Let's look at the vertical integration process, which converts iron ore to various steel finished products. So you can see this is a typical iron ore. And assuming sold at $10, $10 is really high because some of the ore, bauxite and manganese is about $3. So a ton of iron ore typically costs $5. Okay, I use $5 in my test. $5. So 300 tons of iron ore would amount to $1,500. That's 5 times 3. Processing this 300 tons into steel, she's roughly 100 tons of steel. That's
hello, sorry, there's a feedback coming. Somebody is not muted.
Would reduce about 100 tons of steel at a selling price of $2,000 per ton. This revenue from
oh, Henry, please mute.
100,000. So you can see the same amount of iron ore immediately comes to 100 metric tons. 300 comes to 100 metric tons. The sheet we get 200,000. And then you get into iron rod, about 300,000. This ice section, about 400,000. You get to steel rails, about 500,000, because about a ton of steel rails is about $5,000. So 100 ton, about 500,000. This is the value talking about. So look at the pylons, electricity pylons. Those are expensive, $6,000. So you get to 600. And you look at this stoves, the equipment. All is
please,
steel.
Nana or any kindly mute.
$500 and a ton. This 100 ton would do 1,900 stoves, and that will amount to and so on and so on. The car that we are talking about, 20,000, 55% of steel, and then so 100 metric ton will produce 125 cars, and that's about 1.3 million. Then the bulldozer is also 100 metric ton produce about 1.5 bulldozers. Bulldozers is all about steel. Every material, just that there are different kinds of steel. It's the same as the vehicle, different kinds of steel. The engine has steel with very high melting point, obviously. So you can see if we continue to export, and by the way, we haven't started exporting iron ore yet, but we've been exporting bauxite and manganese. It's the same thing. I didn't use bauxite or manganese. I prefer to use steel. You see, so if we export the ore, we get 3,000, but we export to somebody who gets over $2 million and then comes back and sell to us. So you see the difference. The difference is the money that gets into people's pockets, that gets into rich countries' pocket, those who make effort to add value. You see, and until we do this, fortunately, we will not make it beyond the poverty line. This demonstrates that while selling raw iron ore brings in 1,500 for 300 tons, processing the ore into household appliances and vehicles significantly increases its value several-fold and even 1,000 times compared to selling the raw material. Transforming iron ore into steel and further processing it into high-value products will generate significant revenue for Ghana, create wealth for Ghanaians, and contribute to higher disposable incomes for workers. So you can see at every stage of it, if you manufacture vehicles, you make money. Okay, so we go to the last example, nuclear power plants. It wasn't in the list, it was in the infrastructure sector, but let's look at it briefly. The third and final example is the development of the nuclear power plant As previously mentioned, the objective in the Ghana Infrastructure Plan is to establish a 4,800 megawatt power facility, nuclear power facility, to meet our base load electricity requirements with 4 units of 1,200 megawatts each. The total estimated cost for transmitting this 4,800 megawatts nuclear plant is 30 billion. Of this amount, approximately 25 billion of the cost is local expenditure, whilst another 50% will be sourced from the local market with a strong import substitution industrialization strategies. This translates to a potential 75% or 22.5 billion injected into the local economy. About 25% of the estimated 30 billion will, however, be foreign expenditures. And that's just the reactors, the inspections, audits, our international function. But then the local ones, and I'm going a bit deeper into the local ones. Local expenditures will cover land acquisition and compensation, as well as supply of aggregates, cement, concrete, steel, aluminum, fiber optic cables, tiles, paints, etc., etc. About 500 houses will be constructed for staff and other supporting sectors, along with office buildings, health facilities, educational facilities, and housing and recreational infrastructure. Infrastructure such as roads, drainage systems, water supply networks, sewage systems, and other building fittings and features will also be procured and installed. Compared to similar size plants built recently in the Middle East, it's expected that more than 1,500 Ghanaian companies will be awarded contracts, resulting in establishment of several businesses and new jobs. And by the way, we compare this with the Baraka plant in the Emirates. So the figures we got here, we compare with that. Part of the budget will also be allocated to improve the electricity grid, which includes constructing steel pylons, aluminum cables, bulk supply points, transformers, buildings, and facilities. As part of the industrialization process, materials such as steel, aluminum, cement, concrete products, cables, are expected to be manufactured in the country. The nuclear power program alone will create a demand for nearly 10 billion worth of these products. The primary focus is to manufacture these products to high quality standards, ensuring that they meet the stringent requirements of the nuclear power program. Upon completion, several other Ghanaian businesses are expected to be contracted to operate and maintain the facilities and associated infrastructure services. Operating nuclear power plants require trained technicians. As a result of active Ghanaian participation in the establishment of the plant and the huge local expenditures involved, electricity could be sold to industries and households for less than 8 cents per kilowatt hour, far below the current 18 cents. Nuclear power is a long-term option for the country. Developing the necessary nuclear infrastructure and building the first nuclear power plants are major undertakings that will require strong national leadership to ensure coordination, as well as broad political and stakeholder support. The nuclear power Ghana should be supported to achieve this aim. These are just 3 examples. Just imagine applying the demand and value chain additions to dozens of other commodities and services identified, and there are a lot of them. I mean, you go into salt, we couldn't even get into salt. Thousands of new jobs and millions of new jobs identified. Based on the foregoing analysis, Ghana's industrialization plan identifies several value chain and supply chain projects in several sectors of the economy to be implemented in 10 years that will create more than 10,000 new businesses and over 4 million jobs. A number of these businesses are expected to generate an annual turnover exceeding $1 billion by year 10. In other words, if managed efficiently, there will be more than 500 billion annual turnover enterprises in steel, aluminum, cement, mining, natural gas, salt, cocoa, logistics, railway, construction, real estate, housing, insurance, fintech, hospitality, etc., etc. If the plan is properly implemented, Ghanaians are expected to take control of the economy backed by the eminent power of the state. As early as year 5, Ghana is projected to generate over 4 million direct, indirect jobs. And this job thing, we've been working on it for 9 years, since 2014 or so, yes. What we did was that we drill all these things down, this value chain activity, we drill a lot of them down. It's not here yet, but we try to find out year by year, sector by sector, and then some of them were easy, like the public sector job, the judiciary, police, immigration, etc., etc. But then the others, like the steel, for example, no, if you have the convention, you have 1 million tons steel, so you create about 1,000 to 1,200 jobs. Some conventions, some of these jobs. And then you go into world development indicators. There are a lot of about doctor population. So you start working on it. So it's a huge spreadsheet that's not in here yet, but I think another opportunity we shall discuss. So we thought that, look, based on the information on the spreadsheet, in the first year, just about 100,000. But as the second year, largely coming from the built industry sector. And you understand why built industry, because the idea is to start the spatial planning work, the planning work. You see, the cities are developing anyway. The towns are developing, the villages are developing. You go everywhere and they are developing. So why don't we put planning ahead of development? The surveyors are there, the planners are there. They are sitting down, we don't have work to do. So the idea is to start the spatial planning, because without planning well, we cannot have the roads, we cannot have the water. That planning must be done ahead. Everywhere in this country, from Accra all the way to the nearest village where construction is going on anyway. This job breakdown has been a 9-year work in progress, meticulously documented in a comprehensive spreadsheet spanning over 50 sectors and subsectors over a 20-year period. Further details will be presented at a future opportunity. As the economy begins to expand, the tax burden is expected to increase in tandem with increased revenue from economic growth. This reduction in tax burden will likely result from a broader tax base, enhanced efficiency in tax collection, and potentially lower tax rates. The success of Ghanaian businesses will be contingent on the purchasing power of the Ghanaian consumer. With a large and affluent domestic market, Ghana will have a significant purchasing power within its own borders. This will enable Ghanaian companies to thrive domestically, which will fuel economic growth without heavy dependence on external markets. Under the Ghana Industrial Plan, about 21 industrial parks and special economic zones, including 8 agro parks, and a number of technology parks and 7 logistics parks are to be built. We don't have the industrial park in here. Okay, I think we will see that later on. Boosting culture and boosting tourism culture and creative arts. The tourism culture and creative arts industries hold a great future for Ghana and have been given top priority under the Industrial Master Plan. Ghana's competitive advantage lies in its rich culture and values, which are integral to various sectors such as sports, education, health, etc. To develop the culture and hospitality industries, we need to build You need to build all associated sectors, including transport, hospitality, food, beverages, recreation, etc. Festivals in Ghana have been elevated to the highest standards. As disposable incomes increase, domestic tourism will also be stimulated, ensuring that industry professionals earn decent wages for their contribution. Several policies have been implemented to boost tourist spending in local crafts and unique experiences. The creative arts, culture, and tourism sectors have potential in the future. Efforts are underway to promote domestic projects. So this chart, basically, you will see how countries, I think the first one is Thailand, how Thailand has grown its tourism levels, and then Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Morocco. We have other examples, even Tunisia, Kenya. We put in Kenya, but yeah, Kenya is about 3 million. And you see Ghana is almost flat over the last 30 years. 30 years, it's grown a little bit from 200,000, but we touched 1 million tourist arrivals a few years ago. And then we are still around 600. Well, after COVID, all these numbers came down anyway in 2020, 2021. But the fact is that even before COVID, we're flat and we remain flat. You see, it cannot happen. Tourism is part of the industrialization process. As we say, industrialization is a complete societal change. As we develop the roads, develop the toilets, develop the power, we boost our tourism growth. So this is what we envisage. We envisage about 8 million tourist arrivals from the current 700,000 by in 30 years. And we have the preparatory period. All the charts that we have the preparatory period, takeoff period, maturity period, mass consumption period, and then the maturity as well. The final one. Yeah. So, and once again, we also did the the tourism culture and creative arts sector. I mean, this is a huge matrix that is just for one festival area. Let's say Abuacho. Because to have efficient Abuacho, you have a transportation network in there, you have accommodation, hotels, industries, you have food, good food, you have drinks, must be there, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. You have food, the meat, good poultry, then the catering services, the costume. You see the costume that is there. Then you see the shops. The shops must be there, must beautiful shops that tourists must come in and shop. Then the art and craft must be associated with it. And the various kinds of them are listed here. Then there must be other forms of entertainment. It's not just they go and then catch the deer and then that's the end. They must have various forms of entertainment, must be hospitality services as well, tour guides to move around. Then there must be photography and video, must be music production. Some people may like to buy some music on the shops. So all these things must be developed, the choreography, the marketing and advertising, the healthcare, must be good healthcare around, the hospital, the clinic, the emergency centers, ambulance services, the banking and financial services, the telecoms, environmental services, the waste, recycling, utilities, water, media, recreation, equipment rentals, etc., lighting, professional services, education, construction, furniture, special effects, all these. I mean, these are all the charts, the matrix, and by the way, we have dozens of them, dozens. Any time when we did the work, we try to identify all the value chain and supply chain activities within each sector. So I think we've shown the cocoa, we've shown the steel. This is a culture. So assuming this is just for one festival, Kobe Chocho, or the Kundun Festival, or let's say Akwesidai. So can you imagine the businesses that will crop out of it? Unfortunately, and our tourism came just naturally. You know, the festivals. We should develop them. If we have a calendar of tourism activities in the year, you know, people coming for conferences may like to fit themselves into some of them. They will boosting the tourism growth. But currently, most of them are not in a good shape, and they are largely infrastructure and other issues. So that's why our targets were very high, actually. And then we looked at the industrial sectors as well. Okay, so this is where where I was talking about the industrial special economic zone. So we have all of them lined up there. And then we have the national parks in there, the waterfalls are there, and then the plantations are there. This map speaks a lot. We have so many things compared to the map. And each industrial park, we estimated what must be there. It's a long list of things that must be there. And then the production, what needs to be done year by year. So the question is, we need entrepreneurs. And that's why we say we need over 10,000 businesses. We need entrepreneurs to run this. The raw materials are already there. That's the steel and aluminum, and then the clay that we have, and so many other raw materials that, and honestly, we can do everything. Now we take a building like this, it can be completely done without importing anything. Not just for the building, but also what we need to finish it. Because everything, the raw material of everything that we have here is here. And then the finishing, the carpet, and then the leather, they come from petroleum. And I said the chairs from steel. So that is the work that has been done in the plan. So we have the list of the stuff here. It's a long list, huge. I think it cannot be seen from where you are, but it covers. The idea was to list them down. Of course, it's still work in progress anyway. So there's opportunity for businesses and then employment generation. See, because you cannot employ people when you don't have the business. And you cannot have the business when you haven't developed the special plan to build the big business or to build the factory. And then you cannot have the factory when you don't have the big industries to give you the raw materials. So all these things have been carefully planned in there over the period of time. And maybe one of these days we can go deeper into this and then see what is in store. So several dozens of large-scale farmers, hundreds of contractors, real estate and property developers, dozens of mining companies, pharmaceuticals, light and heavy manufacturing firms, railway companies, hotel, restaurants, and fast food industry, etc., will all be needed. So the question is, where do we get the money to fund all these projects? I'm sure people have started asking, well, where do we get the money? Because it's easy giving this tall list of projects. Where do we get the money? Generally, funding is integral to executing the industrialization plan. There's no need for Ghana to borrow so much from abroad, since most of the money required for domestic investment can be generated internally. Traditionally, funding for large infrastructure and industrial projects has come from local resource mobilization, foreign direct investment, overseas development assistance, loans and bonds, pension funds, insurance funds, etc., etc. However, the other sources of funds used by developed countries that have been overlooked by developing countries, including mutual credit, service transactions, revenues from value addition to mineral wealth, rotos, land value capture, etc., etc. the state as a primary engine of the economy. During this period of liquidity crunch, the state should step in as the primary engine of the economy. The industrialization process proposes the establishment of state-supported private institutions to drive the process. So we came up with this. We did this 2016, 2017. And we thought that the development bank will adopt this approach. So we came out with this, where within the development bank, I think we can have the bank itself in the insurance company, the industrial company, then the enterprise development company that looks for the job, engineering companies that facilitates the engineering work, and the energy corps, and then a tribunal that is supposed to advocate for all the industries within. Why? Because the court processes are slow. So we won't want to have our own court system. So the special purpose vehicle responsible for managing the rollout has an enterprise development group that identifies projects, an engineering consortium that prioritizes and develops them to engineering and implementation stages, an insurance company that evaluates risk and underwrites exposures of partners and potential clients, as well as a development bank. It also has an industrial development corporation that will enhance the quality of industrial policy by generating, disseminating, and sharing world-class knowledge, resources, and building capacities as a catalyst for innovative solutions for accelerated economic development. Then the energy corps will consolidate various state energy institutions and spearhead substantial investment in cost-effective energy solutions. A tribunal will, with all the powers of a high court, will provide a fair and impartial platform for resolving disputes and ensure that cases are adjudicated and resolved in a timely manner to avoid delays that could impact business operations and investments. The special purpose vehicle will facilitate investments, the processing of Ghana's minerals, and also invest in other equities, take ownership of key state assets as necessary, and pay taxes like other investment firms. Its sole shareholder is the government, represented by the Ministry of Finance, but functioning as a private sector entity. The company shall contribute to the government's budget through capital gains and dividends it pays to its sole shareholder, as well as tax on its profits. And it will be initially capitalized as a portion of land and mineral wealth. Initially capitalized by a portion of land and mineral wealth. The proposal is that the president would transfer the mineral rights of the company of the country to the company to facilitate investments in their management, exploitation, and value addition for the benefit of Ghanaians and the country at large. So that's what we planned 2017, 2018, thereabout. And I think it's still necessary, even though we have the development plan, we have the development bank, but we thought that this one is also necessary because I had a lot of chat, and they are doing great work. I'm talking about Development Bank Ghana. They are working a lot on the poultry value chain, and then the cereal, etc. But it's largely the agri sector, but we need to focus also on the non-agri sectors as well. With these 7 institutions forming part of the holding company, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that we cannot do as a nation. The businesses will build a Ghanaian supply chain that links producers and sub-consumers and connects farms to warehouses, factories, and supermarkets. Throughout history, whenever there is market failure, the state comes in to correct the failures and imperfections of the market. And I have examples here. Let me go to the next one. Yeah. So you can see these are examples. Japan, after the World War, they came in and supported Mitsubishi, Sony, Toyota, Nissan. They supported it. Some of them, Toshiba, some of them, the state built them up. The same applies to Korea, or the Samsung, the Hyundai, SK Holdings, the LG, all the industries that you see them around. They operate as private entities, but they have a substantial state holding. The Dubais as well, the China, you know the Chinese industries, the banks, and then the corporation, the Sino-Hydro, the Sinopec, the China Development Banks. The China Development Banks, I mean, now all of a sudden, about out of 10 global biggest banks, about 6 of them are Chinese. Six of the largest banks by asset are Chinese. And of course, even the United States, US EXIM, Chrysler, General Motors, United Airlines, American Airlines, US Steel, Ford Motor, ExxonMobil, used to be SO New Jersey, something, IBM Electric, GE, Pennsylvania Railroad, the Federal National Mortgage Association, that's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They are all created by the state or the federal government, for that matter, but they operate as private entities. So nothing stops us for the state to systematically build them up. And I have examples of Singapore also here. In fact, this model is actually based on the Singapore model, Temasek. The Singapore has grown at the back of Temasek. And you see the Development Bank of Singapore. This one, the first one, you don't see there, I don't know why, but it's the plant, is the shipyard that builds Ghana's FPSOs. And even though it's a private company, but it was set up by the state, and the state has substantial shares in there. So all of them, the Olam that you see around, the state has shares in there. So that is what we must also do, and that is what this whole model is all about. I'm going back to this one. So you can see throughout history, you have a country, and then you have a program. US had a New Deal, and the New Deal came into being in 1933 after the collapse of the first. Yes, after the Great Depression of 1929, then 1933, I think Franklin Roosevelt came up with a New Deal. And the funding instrument was Reconstruction Finance Corporation. And they did wonderfully well. For all the industries I listed the previous slide, they were supported by the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. Japan as well, they have a name, people call it Japan Inc., Japan Incorporated, the Bank of Japan. I mean, it's amazing. You know, you might not know, but it got to a time the Bank of Japan was richer than the whole country of Japan. You see, most of the time people say that Japan has a high debt to GDP ratio. Yes, they do. But then the bank, that's the Bank of Japan, the debt is owed to the Bank of Japan. And who is the owner of the Bank of Japan? It's the government of the people of Japan. You see, so instead of going abroad, they decided to borrow from their central bank. And then that's it. So at a point in time, the bank can also sell securities and mop up some of the funds or buy them as and when it's required. So that is it. Brazil, the same, Korea, Singapore, Dubai. So I said that, look, it's high time we also do that. And some of them are very recent. Even the Chinese, some of them as far back as recently as 1990s. The Dubai ones in the 2000s. So it's possible that we can also do it and then succeed. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier on. So what do we do? We have all these, the matrices that you saw, the steel, the cocoa, the culture. We put all of them. What we did was to have a digitized business marketplace. It's also work in progress for a while. Hope to finish soon and then have it launched. But we were working with NDPC at a point in time. So the digital business marketplace, as part of the implementation of Ghana's industrialization master plan, a large digital trading platform for Ghanaian businesses and SMEs, the digital business marketplace will be created to bring buyers and sellers together to form a digital network of market players. This platform will also tap into the wide market of consulting service providers, suppliers, producers, and consumers. The platform will cater for the businesses of all sizes, large, medium, and small, and it will simplify business operations in Ghana. The value and supply chain activities identified under the plan will be integrated into the platform as potential business entities, inviting individuals and businesses to bid based on strong Ghanaian ownership, clearly defined corporate governance principles, and other established criteria. The platform will be built with a system that allows businesses to be evaluated quickly. It will utilize information built to determine the credentials of businesses. The platform will boost trust among Ghanaian businesses by de-risking the business environment. It will also expand business opportunities and increase access to finance. Every business will have two accounts, a credit and a debit account. I mean, the idea is that, yes, we don't have money, but whatever we produce, once it's sold to another business that needs it, is obviously credited to your account. And this is being done even in Europe. In Italy, Sardinia, those areas, they have, they have had economic crisis for a while. And it's been done. It's been done in Europe, it's done in Pakistan, done in Bangladesh. But we are not doing that here yet. I think it's high time. We don't need money, physical money, and let alone dollars to operate. See, when we have all the materials, in any case, when we get a foreign currency, what do? We use it to buy the material that we have already here. So that means that we have the materials. Anyway, so it is expected that the state will acquire equity stakes in these new businesses, giving the firms inability to pay for services rendered to them. The Bank of Ghana's UCD, equal in value to the Ghana cedi, will be the currency of exchange. The platform will mark a significant advancement in the nation's financial landscape, particularly for the industrialization program. The system will revolutionize business transactions by offering a seamless and efficient digital payment system. It will eliminate the need for physical cash, reduce transaction costs, and streamline financial operations for business engagement in manufacturing services. The targeted credit and debit transaction will significantly reduce inflation as the demand for newly produced consumer goods will be balanced by supplies. The Ghana business marketplace will position Ghana competitively in the global trade arena. By digitizing business transactions and integrating advanced financial technologies like the UCD, Ghanaian businesses will operate with enhanced efficiency and reduced costs. So obviously, if you have all these businesses and then you have secured market for your products, and then you have also a market for your raw materials, and then the state also has a little bit of interest in it, and these things are being done transparently, then nothing stops us from lending at single digits because all the risk has been removed. So lending at single digits, the bank will lend at single digits to these businesses meticulously selected to participate in Ghana's development marketplace. This is because the enterprises have pledged to uphold good corporate governance standards, have secure sources of raw materials, and guaranteed markets for their products. Furthermore, with government equity stakes and entities unified during the holding entities unified under the holding company umbrella, they forge a formidable alliance poised to drive forward our nation's economic prosperity. So basically, we've been trying to let the banks lend us single digits for how many years? And this is the opportunity. We have to start all over afresh and start building this from ground zero. You come in and you go through all the processes transparently. Your directors are known. And members in the marketplace already have also members who can supply products anyway. So the circular flow of goods and services. This system is characterized by the continuous movement of money, goods, and services among various sectors of the economy, where the outcome of one sector becomes the input for another. This creates a loop of production and consumption that supports economic growth and industrialization. In an industrializing environment, businesses often engage in transactions where they provide goods and services on credit, thereby creating a network of interdependent economic activities. This system facilitates the efficient allocation of resources and supports the continuous flow of economic activities without the immediate need for cash payments.
Hey, say go do what?
So it's fundamental to the function of modern industrial economy, a concept in understanding economic interactions at a micro level. To explain how the credit scheme works, let me illustrate with the following a story I found on the internet a couple of years ago titled A Lesson in Economics. I'm sure most of you have heard it. It says it is a slow day in a little Greek village. The rain is beating down and the streets are deserted. Times are tough. Everybody is in debt. Disposable incomes are low and everyone lives on credit. This particular day, a rich German tourist is driving through the village, stops at the local hotel and lays a €100 note on the desk, telling the hotel owner he wants a room to pick one and then owner soon euro and runs to pay his drinks bill at a local drinking shop. The drinking shop attendant also runs and settles his debt with the depot wholesaler. The depot, which is a part of an association that have been having meetings in the hotel on credit, quickly rushes to the hotel and pays off the use of conference room facilities to the hotel owner with a €100 note. The hotel proprietor then places the €100 note back on the counter so the German traveler will not suspect anything. At that moment, the traveler comes down the stairs, picks up the €100 note, states that the rooms are not satisfactory, pockets the money and leaves town. No one produced anything. No one earned anything. However, the whole village is now out of debt and looking to the future with a lot of optimism. And friends, that is how a bailout package works. So we have it like this. I illustrated with this infographic. So obviously the hotel has been borrowing the meat from the butcher on credit. And then the meat also went to pay the pig farmer, then they went to pay for the heads, etc., etc. But then if assuming the man running the cooperative had also just bolted out of town, or gone to the airport with €100, or if he was a foreign enterprise, what would have happened? We probably would have disrupted the circular flow of money, and that would have been disastrous. And that is how we have run our economy. You see, that circular flow of funds are always disrupted. There are too many foreigners in this economy. So we are not able to, because money injected into the economy, once it moves around several times, is supposed to really create tremendous wealth. And let me show another example. This is Momo. Momo transactions in Ghana. I've been monitoring Momo for the last so many years. Momo started around 2011, 2012. And the first Momo transactions, I mean, the total sum of transaction was about 500,000 cedis. And it was very, very flat. Then 2013 moved slowly. By 2016, it was about 50 million. Then 2017, when they did the interoperability, there were two stages of interoperability. The first one was where let's say MTN could transfer money into Vodafone and vice versa. That's the first stage. The second stage that came in much later was where you could transfer money from your bank into your Momo. So from 2017, when we did the interoperability, it started shooting up. And by the way, that is the time. So the total value of transactions, that's the time the total value of Momo transactions exceeded check transactions in Ghana. Check transactions, I mean, the big companies. For the first time, Momo transactions exceeded check transactions in 2017. Then it started moving up 2019, 2020, 2021. It was about 950 billion. At that time, the money supply was just about 10 billion. So how could money supply of 10 billion result in transactions of 950 billion? You see, so if the operator takes 1%, that's the operator gets about also 9 billion, 10 billion, probably the same as the money supply. So that is it. Then e-levy came. Then, so we plotted with this trajectory. We plotted to get. We did an estimation. We're doing a lot of work in this area. So we realized that by 2030, we were on board to have a Momo transaction Ghana about 70 trillion. In just 6 years, Momo transaction was supposed to hit 70 trillion when the money supply is now moved to about 40 billion cedis. So when e-levy came in, it disrupted it a little bit. So it slowed down. And then the e-levy was revised. And then, so it's now moving. So 2023, it was about, I think, 1.7 trillion. 1.7 trillion. But if e-levy had not come, 2023, it would have been about, I think, 2.5 trillion. So e-levy reduced the volume of transaction by almost 700 billion. I mean, these are huge numbers, but the question shows it illustrates the velocity of money. The velocity of money. The same applies to the Greek stories, how €100 was able to circulate in the economy and feel like €800. So assuming each of these partners or each of these operators was paying tax of, let's say, 15%. then straight away, and assuming €100 was pumped in by the government, then straight away the government gets its €100 back, because 15% for 7 or 8 operators over 100%. So this is how we have to look at in running this economy. So basically, money supply now in Ghana is about 44 billion. Yet this year, we have an idea. It's 2014. It is to go up. I think to go up to 2.6 trillion. But we just decided not to plot it. We have to study the trend for the next 3 years before we can make some projections in there. But the fact is that there are other discussions on this that I don't want to start now, but this is how the money works, and we will see it. We'll see some illustrations later. So lessons from the story. The story is emphasizing the critical role of cash flow I'm talking about the Greek tourists, in sustaining economic activities. When debts are settled, cash flows move freely, allowing businesses and individuals to invest and expand and contribute positively to the economy. Debt repayment in the story leads to increased economic activity as businesses and individuals are freed from financial burden. This increased activity can create a ripple effect, generating employment opportunities, boosting consumer spending, and driving overall economic growth. As the story concludes, the village residents are depicted as looking forward to the future with optimism. This highlights the importance of fostering confidence and optimism in the economy as it encourages investments, innovation, and risk-taking, which are vital for development. The story touches on taxation. As the government stands to benefit through taxes when economic activities thrive. There are 7 activities, and one might think that €700 has been paid, but it's just €100. If the money was provided by the government and each activity pays 15% of the transaction as tax, then the state gets its €100 back in the form of taxes. So I think I've done the discussions on this. So the velocity of money. These stories above and the mobile money growth chart illustrate the concept of velocity of money in economics. The principle here is that the money circulated quickly through the economy, benefiting multiple partners in a short period. In the story, the money deposited by the tourist quickly circulated from the hotel manager to someone who owed him money, and then potentially further to others before the tourist returns. We can also benefit from understanding and leveraging the velocity of money principle to solve our developmental needs by creating an environment where money flows efficiently through the economy, benefiting a larger number of Ghanaian businesses. The velocity of money principle is enhanced when there's clarity and certainty about the identities of economic actors and their transactions. When money circulates quickly, it can have multiplier effect on economic growth. Each transaction can generate income for others, leading to increased productivity, investment, consumption, and employment opportunities. The government can therefore design policies to promote economic activities that enhance the velocity of money, such as infrastructure development, education, and healthcare investment, which can lead to long-term economic growth through entrepreneurship. So basically, this is a typical natural illustration. So you see, normally, like we want to, let's say, build road, or okay, let me start from here. So yeah, we have to have these systems within the framework. so that we move the materials through the credit and the debiting system. But most of the time, we look at the cost of setting up a steel plant and the cost of setting up an aluminum plant, instead of getting a granite, glass, and then the contractors need money, and developers, real estate developers need money, and then we need money for school. But I realize that one sector can easily feed into another's, or if not fully at all, partly feed into it, and we may not need as much money as we might think. Boosting confidence in Ghana's economy. The first thing we need to do to get out of the current economic challenges is to boost confidence in the economy. Confidence is the cornerstone of national progress, and the initiatives outlined above are pivotal in restoring this vital element. Our strategy focuses on enhancing production, stimulating consumption, and generating employment to propel Ghana towards prosperity. In 6 months, we may not have houses, roads, factories, etc. constructed, but we will have established a clear roadmap for our nation's recovery. The digital marketplace will identify thousands of new businesses, fostering connections between producers and consumers, buyers and sellers. Emerging entrepreneurs will be working on their business plans, whilst existing businesses facing challenges will uncover new opportunities and pathways to revitalization. This renewed confidence will empower employers to resume hiring, enable secure loans and secure loans for expansion, and embolden competitors to engage in contracts with renewed optimism. Leveraging the established Ghana card and abundant business prospects, we will implement a credit system to facilitate lending to businesses and consumers, stimulating investment and consumption. I mean, basically, I look at the current economic situation and I wonder, so when are we going to get out of here? When are we going to get out of here? And there's no clear path. You see, we just had 360 billion package in there. But the fact is that, yes, apart from the IMF's stabilization plans, we must also have the long-term plan, long to medium, or short, medium to long-term plan. And adopting strategies like this at least give a clear direction about when all this will end. So that is that. There's a need for a change in the way we want to develop our nation. Successive governments still find it difficult to undertake waste management, housing, roads, railway, etc., when such infrastructure projects, which some consider basic municipal services, have been done by several civilizations for centuries. For example, why do we borrow to fund road projects when the state owns the land, the laterite, the aggregates, and we have crude oil and a refinery that can be retooled to produce bitumen from the crude oil. And the crude distillation process can produce several other products. And there are engineers looking for work and several other skilled and unskilled workers that can be mobilized for road construction. And hundreds of excavators are lying idle, rather being used for illegal mining. And when we construct the roads, the land and property values appreciate. When the roads are constructed, our environment becomes livable and bankable, and we enjoy a better quality of life, and our country becomes competitive. We can boost tourism numbers and give us more local and foreign exchange, etc. Again, when we told the roads, the investment can be recouped, debt repaid, and more roads built. Good roads also ensures good riding quality, reduce vehicle operating costs, reduces imports of spare parts, and conserves foreign exchange. The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, is reported to have said, I would rather argue that we need to mobilize the right mindset rather than more funding. After all, in Africa, we have everything we need. In real terms, whatever is lacking, we have the means to acquire, and yet we remain mentally married to the idea that nothing can get moving without external finance. We are even begging for things we already have. This is absolutely a failure of mindset. Like roads, railway track infrastructure can also be developed without saddling the country with huge and excessive foreign debt. So building a huge asset portfolio of 700 billion by year 20. A robust and sustainable asset portfolio needs to be built systematically to fund Ghana's long-term industrialization objectives by diversifying economic activities and maximizing the potential of each sector. A careful analysis shows it is possible for the state to build a net asset portfolio exceeding 700 billion over the next 20 years to support the ambitious industrialization program. This portfolio will be strategically developed through diverse and robust economic activities. Portions of the inflows will come from land. I mean, basically, the president issues executive instruments all the time. So we want to do railway or whatever, the virgin land, issue executive instruments. And indeed, there are still a lot of lands that in Ghana that are not in state hands or in school or family lands. And I think most of the lands should come to the state's control. There's an issue about land that we can discuss another time. But if we issue executive instrument on land, virgin land virtually doesn't cost much. It's when you start to improve upon the land that the value appreciates. So portions of the inflow come from land. Then the manufacturing sector, capitalizing on a country's capacity to produce high-value goods. Additionally, revenues to be generated from the value addition of gold, steel, aluminum, leveraging Ghana's rich mineral resources. The growing digital economy will also play a critical role, contributing substantial proceeds as the nation embraces digital advancements and digital transformation processes. Furthermore, the asset portfolio will be boosted by earnings from tourism, driven by Ghana's rich cultural heritage and natural attractions. Investments in housing and real estate will provide steady income streams, while the energy sector, including oil and gas, revenues will offer significant financial returns. The financial sector will also contribute to the portfolio through innovative financial products and services. So basically, what we are trying to do, yes, basically is that, look, instead of the Ministry of Finance getting the cocoa proceeds, the gold proceeds, and several others, that it should rather get this body that we've set up, what we call special purpose vehicle. So Minister of Finance it becomes a private company anyway, but it's owned by Minister of Finance. So they manage it for us, for the ministry. So they pay dividends, they pay taxes, etc., etc. It's headed by those institutions that I listed. And the key advantage is that they have the opportunity to mobilize funds in other sectors that do not initially generate funds, like the tourism sector, for example. So we have some sectors that are so resourced, like the oil and gas companies, and then we have other sectors that are very under-resourced. So this big umbrella will be able to mobilize funds, and so we worked on that as well. And this is the kind of thing that we got. Very, very detailed work that also took quite a long while. But gold, we get gold. Both buying the gold, you can use local currency to acquire foreign assets. And that's what Bank of Ghana is doing now. Is good. but we need a refinery here, and also, we have to also purchase a lot of them. And gold is forever. Then aluminum, talk about steel, and then the investment banking, banking, all these, like you saw in the case of Momo. You see, you get revenues there, huge revenues. You see, if the transactions are about 2.5 trillion, and then the operator takes 1%, and that's clearly operator gets, I don't want to calculate that. So the digital economy alone is huge in there. The artificial intelligence, the big data itself, cyber security, they are all in there. The insurance, once we are going to undertake massive projects, obviously we need insurance to minimize the risk and also underwrite exposure. Then the telecom, the culture, the housing, the infrastructure construction, road tolls, it must come back. It must come back big time because the roads have to be done and maintained. And some of them are small money, others are big money, smart cities, mortgage services, green financing. Green financing just for 4 billion over 20 years. These are funds that you get from Green Climate Fund or Global Environmental Facility when you undertake green projects. And most of these projects are green projects, even the steel, because steel can be recycled 1,000 times without losing its properties. And so that we leave the forest. We've been felling the trees to build, to do building with the scaffolding, rafters and palings, but still scaffolding can be done and recycled forever. And by so doing, we are saving the forest, and that should qualify for Green Climate Fund grant. So if we don't have time, we would have gone through each one of them, but it's over to 20 years. But 20 years, it moves very quickly. It's very, very flat initially, but as the factories get done in 10 years, it starts shooting up. It starts shooting up. And by the way, the cocoa and all those things are there, but these are net revenues anyway. These are net, not gross. So these are monies that, and some are, not all of them are cash, some are assets. Most of them are assets. No, earlier on I said that the states will have assets in some of these establishments. So you see the monies falling into a pot like rain. And it's very exciting. Yeah. So the next issue is the salaries. Yeah, I'm almost about finishing. So in the light of the case of increased workers' salaries, wages, and compensation in Ghana, in the light of the ambitious industrialization plan, increasing workers' salaries and raising the minimum wage from $43 per month or to, I think $49 to a high middle income average of $300 per month over a period of 20 years is essential for Ghana's successful industrialization plan. Lower disposable incomes have affected the productivity of the Ghanaian worker. Money from increased salaries and wages will be derived from higher tax revenues due to the expanded economy, as well as from the state's equity interest in the newly established businesses. I mean, straight away, you see, we are a lower middle income country. We are here. Ghana is a lower middle income country. So and this came from the global World Development Index. So our minimum wage is supposed to be a minimum 155, but our minimum wage is actually below low income country level. We are here, but minimum wage is not even lower in this income. It's below low income country level, $49. And minimum wage is a reflection of the overall wage system in the country. Our salaries are very bad, especially in the public sector. It's not good. And we cannot industrialize with low salaries. We cannot, because the factories, the goods that will come from the factories, we can't buy them. we cannot board the railway system. We cannot board the buses because we want to be a rich country. Obviously, things will be a bit expensive, but then if the salaries go up, we can afford. So you could see when we checked, we developed this, and we think that, look, fine, with all these systems, we must give ourselves a period. These things cannot be changed overnight, not even in 5 years. It takes a long time to do, but the most important thing is that we must start. So we thought that, look, over a period of 20 years, 20 years, that 2025 to 2045, the minimum wage to hit $300 per month. And that means that everybody's salary must move up gradually. And that is about six-fold increase, even in dollar terms. And higher wages will boost the disposable incomes of the workforce, stimulate domestic demand for goods and services, boost productivity, and lead to economic growth. With more disposable incomes, Ghanaian workers can patronize the new products rolling out from the factories, invest in better healthcare, education, and housing, enhancing the overall quality of life. This improvement in living standards can lead to a more productive and motivated workforce. We cannot continue to have low worker salaries and expect an efficient and sustainable railway system to be built. We cannot develop world-class road network and modern bus systems if people cannot afford the fares that will be charged. Most importantly, we need industrial harmony in an industrialization environment. It is a national security risk for Ghanaian workers to continue experiencing diminishing disposable incomes. As we transition into high-income country status, worker salaries must also gradually increase to conform to standards of that income group. Additionally, the public sector must be efficient and competitive. The good news is that the two can occur simultaneously. The industrial program will address low disposable incomes. So much wealth is going to be produced that it must be transferred to industries and households. Let's take a look at the wages and salaries of the public sector over the last few years and the outlook for the next few years. So this is the wages. And I picked this from the budget statement over the years. And these are the outlook, 2024 budget. You see all this there. So these are government figures. And you can see how the wages and salaries have been going up. In cedi terms, you see, in cedi terms, and when you convert to the dollars, you see that it reaches maximum and then started coming down. So in dollar terms, yes, in cedi terms, you see increase, but in dollar terms or in real terms, it's actually low. And the worst of it all is that the public sector has increased tremendously from 2021 to 2024. Increased something like from 585,000 to about 750,000. Yet the total value of compensation is low. So, and it's not good for the economy. It's not good for the economy and most especially if you want to industrialize. And it's not surprising that almost every week we hear of industrial strike going on. Almost every week. And it's going to worsen the next few years if we don't try and fix it up. We need actions like that. But very soon, I mean, almost everybody will be at home. With all due respect, but it must work out. So we thought that, okay, fine. So let's see, whilst we are so generating funds from expanded economy, basically increase the pie. We can also the increased salary, obviously, if you increase salary and then you give it to a worker, obviously there will be inflation. So we said that, okay, fine. So we increase the salary, but we only take home a small portion of it, 20%. Then the sum are assigned to your pensions Some are assigned to healthcare, transport care, education, housing, etc., etc. Because you are going to build houses anyway, and you don't have to get the money before it's taken back. You see, we have to systematically boost up the disposable income of the Ghanaian. It's a national security risk. I mean, people can come in and buy our assets just like that, and it's not good. So this is the kind of things that we thought that has to be done. Yeah. All right. So getting to the end, reversing brain drain. Efforts have been made to reverse the brain drain and retain the requisite professionals to support Ghana's in development through multifaceted approach. Offering competitive salaries ensures that skilled professionals, including doctors, teachers, engineers, and other professionals, are motivated to stay and work in Ghana rather than seeking opportunities abroad. Under the industrial plan, the working conditions of professionals will be so improved to ensure access to modern facilities and equipment, opportunities for career growth and advancement, adequate resources and support, and a conducive work environment that promotes work-life balance. A diverse and attractive career opportunities should be created to retain professionals. Creating a productive and competitive workforce. Let's take an example of the Ford Motor Company. We all know the Ford. In 1914, Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, made the decision to double his workers' wages to $5 a day. And this move stunned the world and other industries, criticizing him, fearing it would inflate labor costs. However, Henry Ford's response was clear. People need to make $5 a day to buy my cars. By paying his workers enough to afford the products they were making, Ford not only expanded the market for his cars, but also tackled issues like high turnover rates among his workers. This move ultimately reduced disruption in Ford's production line and reduced training costs, contributing to a more productive and competitive workforce. Henry Ford's decision to double his workers' salary to $5 a day in 1914 had several significant economic benefits, and a similar but gradual approach should be put in place in Ghana's public sector, where salaries are comparatively low. When workers earn more, they have greater purchasing power. Raising salaries will stimulate consumer demand for various goods and services, boosting sales across sectors from manufacturing to entertainment. Higher wages often lead to greater employee satisfaction and lower turnover rates. Ford Motors contributed to economic growth. Ford Motor Company contributed to broader economic growth by increasing wages and stimulating consumer spending. Well-paid employees tend to be more motivated and productive. This translated into increased efficiency and higher production levels. In Ghana, raising salaries can have similar effects. So that is what Ford did. And it really helped him in many ways. And all of a sudden, all the other companies even also increased the salaries, and there was efficiency, and that's where they boosted the assembly line. The need for quality and standards in an industrializing environment. Standards play a major role in an industrializing environment. When it comes to standards, there's only one standard, and that's the global standard. If you want to venture into international markets, we must aim at global standards. As Ghana embarks on this journey of industrialization, the importance of conforming to standards cannot be overemphasized. Adopting a holistic and comprehensive approach to standards is crucial for ensuring the quality, safety and competitiveness of Ghanaian products and services in both domestic and international markets. The Ghana Standard Boards have put in place standards to ensure that high quality of goods are produced in Ghana, especially as we aim to take advantage of opportunities offered by the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Going forward, as the country transitions to high-income country status, standards should not only focus on exports and international trade, but also in everything we do in this country. The OECD is a group of high-income countries that provide a forum where governments can work together to share experiences and seek solutions to common problems. Its mission is to improve people's economic and social well-being. It has been referred to as the Rich Countries Club because its members represent around 70% of the global market. On October 6, 2015, under the leadership of President John Mahama, Ghana became the 50th member of the OECD Development Center. You know, there's a difference between OECD Development Center and then OECD as a club. We are not yet a member of the club because we are not a rich country. But Development Center is OECD offers its facilities for countries to help in their development. By joining the OECD, Ghana was to be linked to an internationally recognized network of institutions that would tackle key policy issues and keep up to date with the latest innovations in development. Other benefits of OECD membership included better opportunities for international economic cooperation, and by adopting OECD standards, companies were to become more competitive and countries more attractive to foreign investors. It is important for the country to align with OECD standards and principles so as to benefit from globally recognized standards, which will not only enhance the quality of the industrial output, but also accelerate its development towards economic growth and development. On October 31st, 2018, President Nana Akufo-Addo, in addressing the 18th OECD International Forum on Africa, also advocated for the establishment of a joint Africa OECD Technical Committee to design procedures for processing projects and developing the continent. So basically, the reason why I put them there is that they've all committed to Ghana being an OECD, being part of the OECD Development Center. What it does is they help us to develop every aspect. It's like the agricultural products that are exported to Europe. I mean, they all conform to OECD standards. But the fact is that we shouldn't only focus on agri products. It should be everything. Going forward, there's need to build on these gains. The standards set by the Ghana Standard Board should be rigorously monitored and enforced across industries such as mining, petroleum, road construction, building, and agricultural exports to Europe. Ghana should make higher standards applicable to all aspects of Ghanaian life, including banking, manufacturing, construction, railway operations, maintenance, etc., etc. This comprehensive approach to standards will become ingrained in our culture. Enforcing stringent standards will not only be necessary for industrialization, it will be the cornerstone for our progress. Standards form the language of industrialization and trade. Becoming a member of the OECD Development Center will grant us access to resources, expertise, and partnership that can significantly advance our growth. Whilst adopting the OECD standards and practices, we should tailor them to our unique context and development goals.
Thank you. Did you enter this?
Implementing these policies may become time.
It looks like
may demand time and resources.
Looks like you already have an account.
Enduring benefits will significantly propel Ghana towards.
The one set up an account for me last time, so I just logged into it because she used your number.
National integrity.
So
so please check the card.
This is not it, right?
Discipline and reward system.
It says card expired.
Trust and
This is the new card.
in an industrializing Ghana
So
is
update
crucial
it.
for promoting ethical values, integrity, and anti-corruption practices. Discipline is fundamental to societal progress, and the strategy is to prioritize initiatives aimed at instilling a sense of responsibility and accountability among Ghanaians. Trust serves as a cornerstone for effective governance, and there should be a commitment towards nurturing an environment of trust and transparency. Respectful communication builds trust across citizens and leaders, creating an environment where voices are heard, concerns addressed, and citizens feel represented. Ghana stands to benefit significantly from a renewed commitment to develop development-oriented discourse. It not only contributes to economic growth, but also enhances societal harmony, international reputation, and the overall and well-being of the citizens. An outline of Ghana's national development, the master plan. Actionable steps are required to promote behavioral changes, including establishment of National Integrity Day. This annual observance will underscore the importance of ethical behavior, integrity, and anti-corruption measures.
Thank you.
Furthermore, a sustained integrity awareness campaign should be rolled out as soon as possible. Rules should be established toward and provide incentives for individuals who uphold regulations and exhibit commendable behavior while penalizing those who do not. The Ghana Charter. In an industrializing environment, there must be a trust between the state institutions, corporate Ghana, and the citizens or citizenry. So a tripartite deal, the Ghana Charter, was crafted as a deal between the state, corporate Ghana, and the citizens to ensure that the success of one party is strongly linked to another. The essence of the charter is that while the country needs the state to maintain its sovereign power, security, and production, corporate Ghana is needed to drive the growth agenda through business innovation, while citizens put up law-abiding and responsible behavior. Industrialization is not only about manufacturing, but a complete societal, economic, and environmental change that transforms a country into an industrial society. So ultimately, we shall be resolving several interconnected fiscal and monitoring policies in the economy. 1, increase access to credit. 2, increase disposable incomes of citizens. 3, increase insurance penetration. 4, increase foreign exchange reserves. 5, stabilize cedi value. 6, reduce tax burden. 7, reduce non-performance loans or non-performing loans. 8, reduce cost of credit. 9, reduce current account deficit. 10, reduce size of the informal sector, because what we did is basically a very formalized system. 11, reduce interest rate. 12, stricter inflation control. And finally, but not the least, adherence to good corporate governance principles. I have another, this is not education. I don't want to talk about it, but the idea is that we are going to have, we plan to rehabilitate the educational institutions and then the healthcare system as well. We must have a co-sharing system for the healthcare. I think the one-time premium on all those things are not working. We must have a co-sharing system, and that is really affecting, because once we are, when I put the chart there, you can assign part of the salary increase to healthcare, because our healthcare expenditure is very, very low, an average $80 per person a year. An average of $80 per person a year. In high-income countries, $6,000. And we have to gradually move healthcare infrastructure, and that will come from one increased salary, and also we have to manufacture some of the health equipment, and they are all in the what they call industrial park thing that I mentioned. Maybe in question time I can talk a bit more about it. So improving doctors-patient ratio, and once again, it's a very low figure. The doctor-patient ratio is very low. You can see Ghana is a lower middle-income country. We should have 0.7 doctors per every 1,000 population, but currently we have 0.2. So we are even lower than low-income country average. I mean, we don't have doctors in Ghana. We don't have doctors in Ghana. In fact, our doctor deficit currently it's about 8,000. Even for if we want to operate as a low-income country, our doctor deficit is 8,000, and then we need more doctors. So these are all the gaps. We need more doctors, and by the time we get to, let's say, in 10 years' time, the population will have increased, and if we don't produce more, that means the deficit still widens. So that is that. Expanding GDP, I think expanding GDP by expanding GDP to 1.1 trillion. We base it, I think, let me read this so that you get it clearly. Expanding GDP over 30-year horizon. When we completed all this way, we used the expenditure approach model or formula to model Ghana's GDP over the next 30 years. With estimated moderate growth rates over the period. We noted that if we implemented these strategies, it was possible to achieve a per capita GDP of 6,000 in 10 years, 19,000 in 20 years, and 27,000 in 30 years, corresponding to a total GDP of 230 billion and 1 trillion and 1.9 trillion respectively. The formula for calculating GDP using the expenditure model is GDP is equal to C, that's C for consumption by household, I for investment by businesses and households, G for government spending on goods and services, and then the X minus M, that is the net exports. That is that's the exports minus imports. So generally, we must boost up exports. This massive growth will require extensive industrialization and manufacturing with high exports, substantial investment in housing and infrastructure, significant government spending on local goods and services, massive household consumption of locally manufactured goods and services, and a stable currency. The key assumptions are unencumbered access to land, discipline, and behavioral changes among the people. We need to take that short. Over the next few months, we'll conduct a few more public lectures to delve more into some of these things, and especially the city. Our discussion will unveil more than 60 activities contributing to the status of the city and propose strategies to strengthen the currency. Since its launch in 1965, the city has seen a significant decline in value, derailing our industrialization efforts. In 1965, it was higher than the US dollar at $1 0.85 cedis. Now, our dollar is equivalent to 15 cedis or 150,000 cedis. We cannot industrialize while we see about 20 to 50% of our capital wiped off every year. We have to talk about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we face pressing challenges that demand immediate attention for and a delay. If we delay, we complicate matters. Half of all households live in single rooms. All households, there are about 8 million households. Half of them, that is the man, the wife, the children, they live in single rooms. Less than 30% of households have running water. 20-30%. Less than 20-30% of households have access to some sanitation. And in the next few years, about 4 million vehicles, and that's within the planning period, about 4 million vehicles will be added. Where are the roads? The next 30 years, our population will nearly double, growing from 900,000 this year to 1.4 million by year 30. The question is, where will we find land for food production? How will we manage water resources? Where will waste be managed? Where will our cities expand? How will we commute to work? Delaying solutions now only exacerbates future challenges. Without proper planning and housing, we cannot address anything effectively. As a nation, we possess all the necessary resources, not only to build, but also to furnish our house. So let us strive to provide for our children with what we are self-loved. So that is, so that's the GDP, and that's the per capita GDP. Basically, it goes from stages: preparatory, trade-off, maturity, high mass consumption, and post-maturity. And this is basically about the whole summary of that. So our next step is we're building the marketplace. Hopefully by September, we'll put all these things in there, and then we launch. We've been working with the NDPC in a way, and we hope that it will be successful. So in 6 months, businesses would have been connected to a network of thousands of other. The program aims to facilitate supply chain connections, helping industries identify new material suppliers and buyers for semi-processed and finished goods within 6 months. In 6 months, businesses would have been connected to a network of thousands of other businesses on the trading platform, leading to increased optimism and fostering collaboration, innovation, and economic growth. This interconnectedness will create new opportunities, streamline supply chains, and enhance market access, ultimately contributing to a more dynamic and resilient business environment. The program's success is anticipated to boost employment and encourage business expansion, prompt employers to begin hiring again, and facilitate securing loans for further growth. The challenges of the African migrant trading to Europe. We are opted to undertake this project because we need to create jobs for Ghana and help resuscitate the economy. The issue of African migrants embarking on dangerous journeys through the Sahara Desert and across the Mediterranean Sea to Europe underscores the deep-rooted issues of underdevelopment, poverty, and potential instability that force people to take such extreme risks. It is a stark reminder that Ghana and indeed the whole of Africa must prioritize development and good governance to eradicate the need for her citizens to educate these humiliating and life-threatening journeys. As they embark on this treacherous journey in search of a better life, they face a multitude of dangers that are not only physical, but also deeply unsettling for the conscience of the African intellectual. So the responsibility lies not just with government, but also with the entire African society. It's a collective obligation to create opportunities, foster stability, and build a continent where no one feels compelled to risk their life in search of greater pastures elsewhere. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I urge each one of you, my fellow engineers, to take up the charge of transforming Ghana into a rich and prosperous nation with utmost dedication and resolve. Many of the challenges we have discussed can be tackled swiftly and effectively through our expertise and innovation. We hold the power to make significant impacts that extend far beyond what we might initially think. Let us not relent in this endeavor. Ghana's vision for becoming a high-income, prosperous nation must not remain a distant dream, but a clear and achievable path towards dignity, opportunity, and prosperity for all. The current challenges of underemployment and unemployment serve as a stark reminders of our collective responsibility and the urgent need for change. Together, let us support our government in new ways to elevate the standard of living for every Ghanaian and foster a vibrant, inclusive society. A prosperous Ghana not only benefits our citizens, but also enhances stability and cooperation within our region and strengthens our position globally. Let us rise to this challenge with determination and unwavering commitment. Together, we can, and we will transform Ghana into a beacon of hope and progress, setting an example of what unity and resilience can achieve. Thank you very much.
Very exhaustive. Very, very exhaustive. Thank you very much. Let's give it to him once again. Thank you, Charles, for being on your feet for almost 3 hours, right? That's not easy. I didn't see you even drinking water. All right, thank you very much. Time is fast, man. So we would have consulted the chairman and said we should allow for 2 quick comments or questions. I don't know what about friends online. Our friends online. All right, so probably have 1 question online, 1 question on my left here, 1 question on my right here, then we'll end for the day. All right, so round of sampling. You.
Thank you. So my name is Kwame Boakye. I'm not an engineer. I'm coming from a radio station in Takoradi, Kiss FM. We have launched a program called Reimagining Western Region. And what I realized is that you didn't say anything about coconut. And I don't know whether the plan you did, you drilled it to the regional level so that I could have additional information. The last question is, how is this mindset failure from our political leaders going to be fixed? Thank you.
I hope you noted them. Each one, okay. One was not considering coconut, right?
Yes, I think coconut was considered. The list that the agro-processing industries I put in there, coconut was in there. And the good news is that government itself has set up the tree plant, the tree crop authority that is working on that, plus about 6 other cash crops. So like I said, we always look at government's programs and then try to raise the bar a little bit. So it was in there, just that we didn't go deep into it. Then the mindset, I think, yes, that's why we are doing this kind of thing. You know, as engineers, we be able to do things much easily and able to do things that at times we wonder why politicians are not able to see. So we think that, look, this fora like this will help at least explain some of these things to the decision makers so that they can chart such course. Thank you. Well, yes, currently it's a national plan. It's a national plan. We haven't done regional plans yet, but they are supposed to be regional plans. But yes, that we are still working on the national plan. Yeah, for now.
All right, so we'll go online. Thank you very much. We'll go online. Dr. Sechi, can you please give us your question or comment? Please go ahead. Yes. Unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I have 2 questions actually. One is about how this fantastic plan could be implemented. So I want to know if government contracted engineer and his team to put together this strategy. So I have the impression that government is already waiting for this to implement, or it is his own initiative and proposal, and now we'll be doing advocacy for government to adopt. And then the second one is, Is he considering all these strategies to happen simultaneously, or he sees some as low-hanging fruits, which could be points of departure, and then the other ones will come along? Thank you.
Did you hear him well?
Yeah. I didn't get the second question, but I had the first one.
No, can you please come back with the second question?
The second one.
Yes, the second question is that with these different strategies, are you seeing them to all play out simultaneously, or you consider some as low-hanging fruits, which could be the point of departure, and then the others will come along? Thank you.
You try and answer.
Did you hear the second one? Oh, all right. I think I heard something like whether it was government's plan or it was our own plan. They were largely government plans. I told you that they were based on the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, which has been prepared, commissioned by NDPC, and also the Industrial Plan. They commissioned it. And then also some other plans. I mentioned the work that was done for GIDEC. GIDEC is a government institution, the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Industry, Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation. And so they are all plans. And then the steel one, Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation. So that were put up together. I mentioned the case together, and at times we raised the bar a little bit because we had to achieve high-income countries status. So we have to benchmark them instead of a low-income country. We have to benchmark them into middle-income or even high-income country. So they are largely government plans here, but yes, so some of them we have to stretch ourselves a little bit to achieve them.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay. So that you are the last question. You are ending.
Colonel Waitete, with all these beautiful plans you've drawn up, political parties under any obligation to follow these plans? Thank you.
Yes, well, as I said, these plans were never implemented. I show you a picture of Dr. Prosperous Boakye presenting some of the documents to the president, who were expecting that they will be formally launched, but they would never be launched. And then that is worrying. You know, at the beginning of the term, some of them said they didn't want long-term plan and a whole of other stuff. And that really derailed it. But otherwise, well, the government itself haven't implemented them. We are just working on them, and because we expect that they will sit up one day and say that this is our plan. Fortunately, the NDPC and the other agencies have been mentioning, it's not one single plan. There are different plans that are being put together. And those agencies are working on some sectors of the plans. Yes, so the case of political parties, well, it's up to them to adopt them. I look at the manifestos and I realize that I think the standards are a bit low. We can do far better. And maybe this is the opportunity, especially around this time that they are preparing to go for elections.
Thank you very much, eminent scholar, engineer Charles Boakye. Let's give him a round of applause. I don't have the power, but I would have said this is a doctorate dissertation, because even in defense took him a long time. But, you know, it's been a well thought out program, a well thought out document. The key things that I got from the presentation was that we have to seriously think about value addition. Value addition. if we are going to just live and only spend our time on raw materials, we aren't getting anywhere. So value addition is a key to our development. The second point I also got from this was that we have to do a secular, kind of relationship in our development, like the Indians do. If they want to borrow, they borrow from themselves. So what he's saying, and like the sort of the economy that he talked about, if you circulate the money within yourself, then you won't owe the outside world. Your money will be strong. You can then depend on yourself to do a lot of things. So that was also a key point. The third point, I thought he was going to be, but he nailed it, is discipline and trust. If you are going to develop this country and we have no discipline, drivers drive anyway, anyhow, we make rules, but we don't obey them, we don't observe them, we aren't getting anywhere. And just like my brother said, if we are also going to develop without engineers, we aren't getting anywhere. So engineering should underpin our development. And because of that, we need to spend more money actually training engineers so they will be the anchor for our development. We will not move anywhere if we are only doing storytelling, which is good because you also talked about tourism. But it's when the infrastructure has been developed, when you can move from maybe Asasawa to Koforidua and come back, then you can spend the time to go and enjoy and have tourism. But if you can't move and you go and you can't come back, we aren't getting anywhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very good presentation. I would recommend that you post this on the institution platform. A lot of people can read it and make some meaningful things out of it. We thank you all for coming. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But Charles, somebody just commented that your ideas are Nkrumah's ideas, so take note. No, so take note. Yes. All right. So our friends online, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for staying with us till this time. And our friends also here, we thank you very much for coming. Enjoy the rest of the day and drive home safely.